Story 1. The Ouija Board Ritual. My name is Jessica, and this happened when I was 16, during a sleepover at my friend Sarah's house. We were typical teenagers, fascinated by anything spooky, and the Ouija board was our latest obsession. We'd spent hours in Sarah's dimly lit bedroom, giggling and asking silly questions, convinced it was all just a game. But one night, the game stopped being funny. It was a Friday, a full moon, and we were feeling particularly brave. We decided to try something different, something we'd read about online, a ritual to summon a specific entity. We drew a circle on the floor with salt, lit black candles, and chanted a Latin phrase we barely understood. The air in the room grew heavy, and a strange, metallic smell, like old blood and ozone, filled our nostrils. The planchette, which had always moved sluggishly, now darted across the board with a terrifying speed, spelling out words we didn't recognize, names that sent shivers down our spines. We asked, "Who are you?" The planchette moved to Li Light 8. We exchanged nervous glances. Lilith, a demonic figure from ancient folklore. We tried to end the session, but the planchette wouldn't move from the word, no. The candles flickered wildly, and a cold draft swept through the room, even though the windows were closed. We heard a faint, guttural growl coming from the corner of the room, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very floorboards. Sarah, always the bravest, asked, "What do you want?" The planchette moved to YOURSOUL. We screamed. We tried to break the circle, to extinguish the candles, but our hands trembled too much. The growling intensified, and the air grew heavy, oppressive. We felt a crushing pressure on our chests, as if something invisible was pressing down on us. The room grew darker, the shadows seeming to writhe and contort, taking on grotesque shapes. Suddenly, the candles extinguished themselves, plunging the room into complete darkness. We heard a chilling high-pitched shriek, followed by the sound of glass shattering. We huddled together, screaming, our hearts pounding, when Sarah's mom burst into the room, flipping on the lights. We saw the Ouija board shattered on the floor, the planchette in pieces, and on the wall, etched into the plaster, were 3 distinct, deep scratches, like claw marks, dripping with a viscous, black liquid. We never touched a Ouija board again. Sarah's family moved out a few weeks later, unable to shake the feeling of a lingering presence in the house. I still have nightmares about that night, about the growling, the oppressive darkness, and the chilling words spelled out on the board. I never found out what happened to Sarah, or if Lilith ever truly left her. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone, I still feel a chill, and I wonder if the ritual truly summoned something, or if it merely opened a door that can never be closed. Story 2. The BloodPact. My name is Mark, and I was a freshman in college, eager to fit in, to be part of something. I fell in with a group of older students, charismatic and mysterious, who introduced me to the world of the occult. They weren't dabblers, they were serious, dedicated to ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge. They spoke of power, of unlocking hidden potentials, of transcending the mundane. I was captivated. It started innocently enough, with late-night discussions in dimly lit dorm rooms, poring over ancient texts and cryptic symbols. Then came the minor rituals, small offerings, chants whispered in hushed tones. I felt a thrill, a sense of belonging, a feeling that I was on the cusp of something extraordinary. But then, they proposed a blood pact. It was a ritual to bind us together, to amplify our collective power, to open a gateway to other realms. We met in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, the air thick with the smell of damp concrete and decay. The leader, a senior named Julian, drew a complex sigil on the floor with chalk, and placed a ceremonial dagger in the center. He explained the rules. Each of us would cut our palm, and our blood would mingle in a chalice, sealing the pact. And then, we would drink. My heart pounded. It felt extreme, dangerous, but the others were already lining up, their eyes gleaming with a strange, almost feverish excitement. I hesitated, a flicker of doubt in my mind, but the desire to belong, to be accepted, was stronger. I cut my palm, the sharp sting, a momentary shock, and watched as my blood mingled with the others in the chalice, a dark, swirling vortex. As I drank, a wave of nausea washed over me, followed by a strange, exhilarating rush. My senses sharpened, colors seemed more vibrant, sounds more acute. I felt a surge of power, a connection to something ancient and vast. But then, the visions started. Fleeting glimpses of grotesque figures, writhing in shadows, their eyes burning with malevolent intent. I dismissed them as a side effect, a hallucination brought on by the ritual. But the visions grew more frequent, more vivid. I'd see them in my peripheral vision, lurking in corners, their shadowy forms twisting and contorting. I started hearing whispers, faint at first, then growing louder, more insistent, urging me to do things, to seek out forbidden knowledge, to embrace the darkness. I tried to ignore them, to push them away, but they were relentless, gnawing at my sanity. My friends, the ones I had made the pact with, seemed to be changing too. Their eyes held a strange, unsettling glint. Their smiles were too wide, too predatory. They spoke of power, of control, of bending others to their will. They were no longer the charismatic, mysterious figures I had admired. They were something else, something darker, something corrupted. One night, I woke up to a chilling realization. The whispers weren't just in my head. They were coming from outside, from the shadows that clung to my dorm room walls. And the visions weren't just hallucinations. They were real, tangible entities, pressing in on me, their cold, skeletal fingers brushing against my skin. I was trapped, bound by a blood pact to something ancient and malevolent, something that was slowly consuming me, transforming me into one of them. I tried to break free, to sever the connection, but it was too late. The pact was sealed, the gateway open. I could feel them, crawling beneath my skin, whispering in my ear, urging me to embrace the darkness, to become one with them. I fought, I screamed, but my voice was lost in the chorus of their whispers, my struggles futile against their overwhelming power. I never saw my friends again. I dropped out of college, unable to function, unable to escape the constant whispers, the chilling visions. I tried to find help, to explain what had happened, but no one believed me. They said I was having a breakdown, that I needed therapy. But I knew the truth. I was haunted, possessed, a vessel for something ancient and evil. Sometimes, late at night, when the whispers grow too loud, and the shadows too vivid, I can feel them, crawling beneath my skin, urging me to embrace the darkness, to become one with them. And I wonder if someday, I'll succumb, and join them, a silent, shadowy figure, forever bound by the blood pact, forever lost in the realms beyond. Story 3. The Cursed Artifact. My name is Daniel, and I was an antique dealer, specializing in rare and unusual historical artifacts. I had a passion for the stories behind objects, the echoes of lives lived, the whispers of forgotten eras. My shop was a treasure trove of the strange and the beautiful, and I prided myself on my discerning eye, my ability to spot a genuine piece amidst a sea of fakes. But one day, I acquired something that defied all my understanding, something that was truly cursed. It was a small, intricately carved wooden box, no larger than a shoebox, made of a dark, unknown wood. It was covered in strange, swirling symbols that seemed to shift and writhe in the light, and it emanated a faint, almost imperceptible hum. I bought it from a reclusive collector who insisted it was a harmless curiosity, a relic from an obscure cult. But as soon as I touched it, a cold dread settled in my stomach, a feeling that this was no ordinary antique. I brought it back to my shop, placing it in a glass display case, hoping to study it further. But the hum intensified, and the symbols, on the box seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. I started having strange dreams, vivid and unsettling, of ancient rituals, of chanting voices, of shadowy figures dancing around a flickering fire. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, the hum still echoing in my ears, the metallic smell of old blood and ozone clinging to my clothes. Customers started complaining. They said the box made them feel uneasy, that it emanated a strange, oppressive energy. Some even claimed to hear faint whispers coming from it, urging them to do things, to touch it, to open it. I dismissed it as their imagination, a product of the box's unsettling appearance. But then, the incidents grew more disturbing. Objects in my shop started moving on their own. Books would fall from shelves, lamps would flicker, and sometimes, I'd hear a faint, almost imperceptible scratching sound coming from inside the box, like something trying to claw its way out. I tried to open it, to see what was inside, but the lid was sealed shut, as if fused to the box itself. The hum grew louder, more insistent, and the symbols on the box seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. I started researching the symbols. The wood, the cult. I found a few obscure texts, ancient and forgotten, that spoke of a dark artifact, a vessel for a malevolent entity, a key to unlocking forbidden knowledge. The texts warned of its power, its ability to corrupt, to consume, to drive those who possessed it to madness. My blood ran cold. I knew then that I had acquired something far more dangerous than a mere antique one night. I was alone in my shop, the hum from the box a constant, oppressive presence. The scratching from within intensified, and then, with a loud crack, the lid sprang open. A cloud of black, swirling smoke erupted from the box, filling the room with the sickly sweet smell of decay. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding, as the smoke began to coalesce, taking on a vague, humanoid shape. Its eyes, two pinpricks of glowing red light, fixed on me, and a low guttural growl emanated from its form, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the very foundations of my shop. I screamed. I grabbed the nearest object, a heavy bronze statue, and threw it at the swirling shadow. It passed right through it, shattering against the wall behind. The shadow advanced, its form growing more distinct, more terrifying. I could almost feel its cold, skeletal fingers reaching out for me, its malevolent gaze piercing my very soul. I ran out of my shop, not caring about anything but escaping it. I never went back. I sold the building, leaving the cursed artifact behind. I never told anyone what I saw, or what I felt. Who would believe me? They'd say I was crazy, or that I had imagined it. But I know what I saw, and I know what I felt. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone, I still feel a chill. And I wonder if the cursed artifact is still out there, in some other antique shop. Still humming, still whispering, still waiting for its next victim, still waiting to unleash its ancient evil upon the world.